What would you do if you saw a rich, powerful man attacking a helpless old woman in public? Would you step in, or would you walk away? Now, imagine if something completely unexpected happened next, something that no one saw coming. Stay with me as I tell you a shocking Nigerian folktale that will keep you glued till the end. But before we continue, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more amazing stories. In the busy city of Lagos, where the rich and poor walk the same streets but live in different worlds, there was a man named Chief Otumba Williams. He was one of the richest men in Nigeria, known for his vast empire of businesses, expensive cars, and mansions across the country. But despite his wealth, Chief Williams was a heartless man. He believed that money was power and that anyone without it was worthless. He had no sympathy for the poor and treated people beneath him like trash. One afternoon, Chief Williams was driving his latest black Rolls-Royce Phantom through a busy street when suddenly, an old woman crossed the road too slowly. His driver slammed the brakes just in time, but the billionaire was furious. He stepped out of the car, wearing a white agbada with golden embroidery, and marched toward the old woman. The crowd gathered, expecting him to help her. Instead, he did the unthinkable. "You this useless old woman!" Chief Williams thundered. "Are you blind? Do you know how much this car cost? If I had hit you, you would have scratched my car." The old woman, dressed in a faded wrapper and a torn blouse, looked up at him with tired eyes. She was frail, her back bent from years of suffering, but there was something strangely calm about her. "Forgive me, my son," she said softly. "I am only an old woman trying to slap." The crowd gasped. Chief Williams slapped the old woman so hard that she fell to the ground. "You dare call me your son?" he roared. "Do I look like your mate?" The people around murmured in shock. Some wanted to help, but they were afraid of the billionaire's power. Chief Williams was a man who could destroy lives with a single phone call. But the old woman did not cry. Instead, she smiled, a slow, knowing smile that made the crowd uneasy. Then, she whispered something under her breath, words so soft that only she could hear. And then, something strange happened. As Chief Williams turned to leave, he suddenly felt a sharp pain in his chest. It was so intense that he staggered. His bodyguards rushed to hold him, but the pain vanished just as quickly as it came. He shook his head and growled, "Let's get out of here." His driver helped him back into the car, and they sped off, leaving the old woman lying on the dusty road. But as they disappeared into the traffic, she whispered again, "He who shows no mercy shall beg for it." That evening, Chief Williams sat in his luxurious mansion, sipping a glass of expensive wine. The incident with the old woman was already forgotten. But as he was about to take another sip, something unexpected happened. The glass in his hand shattered into pieces. Shocked, he looked at his palm, expecting to see blood, but there was none. The wine had vanished too. He frowned. Maybe it was just a coincidence. Then, the lights in his mansion flickered wildly before going out completely. The entire house fell into darkness. His guards and maids screamed in confusion. "What kind of nonsense is this?" Chief Williams shouted. "Fix the light now." But before his workers could react, he heard a voice. A voice that sent chills down his spine. It was soft, raspy, and familiar. "He who shows no mercy shall beg for it." Chief Williams' heart pounded. The old woman's words. No, it's not possible, he muttered, sweating. She's just a poor beggar. But the strange occurrences were far from over. As soon as the lights came back on, Chief Williams looked at the mirror in front of him, and what he saw made him scream in horror. His reflection had changed. Instead of his strong, rich self, he saw an old, frail man, dressed in rags, the exact image of the woman he had beaten earlier. His skin sagged, his back was bent, and his hands trembled with age. No! No! This is not real, he shouted, smashing the mirror. But when he looked down at his hands, they were still wrinkled and weak. He had become the very thing he despised. Panicked, Chief Williams called his personal doctor. The doctor arrived quickly and examined him, but after several tests, he shook his head in confusion. "Sir, there is nothing medically wrong with you," the doctor said hesitantly. Chief Williams grabbed him by the collar. "Then why do I look like this? Fix it." I don't know, sir," the doctor stammered. "This is beyond science." Furious and terrified, Chief Williams remembered the old woman. "Find that woman," he ordered his guards. "Bring her to me." But when the guards returned hours later, they had shocking news. "Sir," one of the guards said hesitantly. "We searched everywhere, but no one has seen the woman. It's like she vanished." Chief Williams' blood ran cold. He felt something he had never felt before in his life: fear. For the first time, the powerful billionaire realized that money could not save him. And the worst was yet to come. The billionaire's mansion was no longer the place of luxury and comfort it used to be. Panic filled every corner. His workers whispered in fear, his guards looked at him differently, and even his closest advisors avoided eye contact. Who would have thought that the mighty Chief Otumba Williams, a man who once ruled Lagos with his wealth and influence, would suddenly look like a weak, old beggar? But Chief Williams was not a man who accepted defeat easily. "Search every street," he barked at his men. "Find that woman. I want her here before sunrise." His men obeyed, scouring every market, every corner, every dark alley in the city. But no one had seen the woman. It was as if she had disappeared into thin air. And that's when the real horrors began. That night, Chief Williams barely slept. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw visions, horrible, terrifying images. He saw himself begging on the street, wearing tattered clothes, stretching his hands to strangers for food. He saw people laughing at him, kicking him aside like dirt, the same way he had once treated the poor. Then, he heard a whisper. Soft, chilling, and unmistakable. "He who shows no mercy shall beg for it." Chief Williams jerked awake, drenched in sweat. He looked around his darkened bedroom, his heart pounding. Then, suddenly bang! His bedroom door slammed shut on its own. The billionaire screamed in terror. The next morning, news spread like wildfire. "Billionaire Chief Williams has gone mad," the headlines read. His business partners withdrew their investments. His staff started resigning one by one. Even his own family members distanced themselves from him. The once powerful Chief Williams was now a man losing everything. But the worst was yet to come. One morning, as Chief Williams stared at his reflection in the mirror, he noticed something horrifying. His clothes had changed. He was no longer wearing his expensive agbada. Instead, he was dressed in rags, just like the beggars he used to despise. "No! No! This is not happening," he shouted, tearing at his clothes. But the more he fought it, the more his surroundings changed. His luxurious mansion faded away. His expensive furniture vanished. His golden wristwatch turned into a cheap, rusted bracelet. Suddenly, he was standing in the middle of a crowded street not as a billionaire, but as a beggar. People walked past him, ignoring him completely. Some even kicked dust in his face. Chief Williams tried to speak, to shout, to demand answers, but his voice was weak just like the old woman's voice had been when she begged for mercy. And then, he saw her. Standing across the street, watching him with knowing eyes, was the same old woman he had beaten. Only this time, she did not look weak. She stood tall, powerful, almost glowing. Chief Williams stumbled toward her, falling to his knees. "Please, help me," he croaked, his voice barely a whisper. The old woman smiled, a slow, knowing smile. "Now, you understand," she said. Tears streamed down Chief Williams' wrinkled face. "I was wrong," he sobbed. "Please, forgive me." The old woman bent down and whispered, "True change comes from the heart. Do you truly seek forgiveness, or do you only want your wealth back?" Chief Williams hesitated. For the first time in his life, he realized that money was not the most important thing. With trembling hands, he reached for the old woman's feet. "I don't care about the money anymore," he cried. "I just want to be a better man. Please, give me a second chance." The old woman studied him carefully. Then, she closed her eyes and muttered some words under her breath. And then, boom! A bright light surrounded Chief Williams. When it faded, he was back. His mansion, his clothes, his youth, everything was restored. But this time, something was different. From that day forward, Chief Williams changed completely. He built free schools for poor children. He opened shelters for the homeless. He walked the streets, personally helping the poor. People could not believe it. "Is this the same Chief Williams?" they asked. But deep down, Chief Williams knew the truth. He had been given a second chance, and he would never waste it again. And as for the old woman, she was never seen again. Never look down on those who have less than you. Kindness and humility are more powerful than wealth. Because one day, the tables might turn. What do you think about Chief Williams' transformation? Did he truly learn his lesson? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more amazing folktales.